Thank you. Mindy, would you continue the lovely music for today?
I will, and I have a lot of talking to do, too. Because, as we all know as Unitarian Universalists, you are all entitled to my opinion. As am I entitled to yours. And I hope that my perspective will stimulate thought and response from your perspective. I wrote a concert, Let Every Day Be Christmas, because I love sacred Christmas carols. And Christmas is much more to me than just shopping in Santa and buying gifts I can't afford to give to people who don't need things anyway. And I used the money of the album that I raised in making the album to give to a mission in Nicaragua that sustains a school that was built right near a landfill where children were found living and scrounging for their lives. And I learned about this on a program on TV, and then I found out that the priest who was serving my parents' church at the time, St. Boniface Episcopal Church, was part of that mission. And so he helped me fund the CD, and I was able to raise $12,000 in the first 3 years of the sale. Now, I'm not suggesting that you buy the CD. It's out of print, which is lovely because we independent artists like that to happen. I was a bit nervous when I was asked to give this talk here because I was raised in the Episcopal Church. I was raised a Christian. And I found Unitarian Universalism when my son was 3 years old, and I was 43 years old, and you resonate for me. The 7 principles said, wow, to me, there are people on this planet who are practicing what they preach and teach. And I did not find that in the Christian church. I found hypocrisy. I found judgment. I found fear. And even got in trouble in Sunday school when I questioned. So I left the church years ago, but I didn't leave Christmas. I didn't leave Christ awareness. And in fact, when I first found Unitarian Universalism, I Googled, is there such an animal as a Unitarian Universalist Christian? And indeed there is. However, I must say, they are almost too fundamentalist Christian for me. Okay, so moving forward. Let every day be Christmas. See the miracles every day. And how serendipitous after our conversation that Peter Mayer's song should be brought up, because my first words are, my first image of seeing the miracles every day is Peter Mayer's song, Holy Now. When I first discovered that song, my son and I were driving up to Summer Institute in Ohio to spend a week there with UUs. And my poor child, who was probably 6 at the time, had to listen to it over and over and over because it resonates so much with me that I was in awe, and I would listen to it and cry and drive. Everything is a miracle. When I wake up and take a breath, I think, wow, what an amazing vessel I live in, that I can sleep and it still breathes for me through the night. That's a miracle. But with the Christ factor, what does that look like? As a Unitarian, what does that look like? Well, even as not a Unitarian, as one school superintendent taught it, and in his life showed it. This is a book that I'm reading that my father gave me. And this man, Pappy Shaw, was his principal and superintendent of a very small school, kindergarten through high school, in Colorado Springs. My dad went from 10 years old up through high school here, and Christmas was very special to him. So I read from the chapter, Christmas is a place. And this chapter was written by his daughter, Dorothy. For some people, Christmas is not a date on the calendar, not a week in the liturgy, nor a mad merchant's festival superimposed upon the gentle season of Advent. Christmas is a place, a house, if you will. Chesterton called it the house of Christmas. Now, for some people, it is indeed just that. They go home to it for a day or a week or a fortnight every year. But for others, it has wider boundaries. The journey is longer. They wander there, perhaps for long periods, perhaps throughout the year. And they can be said to live there. These are those who, casting aside both doubts and dogmas, have come to know that something that most people call by one or another of the names for God does come and dwell among humankind, and dwells among us over and over again. And that is the house in which they dwell together. This place has many names, and one of the most popular is the Kingdom of Heaven. But from the solstice until 12th night, its name is Christmas. So I implore you to consider, what is the true meaning of Christmas? And who was this person, this child, who has made such an impression on the world that his legacy has lasted for so many, many, many years? And not just as a fairy tale, though a very good and fanciful story it is, but for so many the light and purpose of their lives. And what can we as Unitarian Universalists make of this story and this man? Well, I would like to have some fun with looking at the story about this person through the songs that have been written about him and his birth. So I want to start with one that's fun, and I know you all probably know it. So join me as you connect. Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, you can echo it here. Do you see what I see? Oh, a star, shining in the night with a tail as big as a kite. It's got a tail as big as a kite. Said the shepherd boy to the said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, do ya hear what I hear? High up on the breeze, shepherd boy, do ya hear what I hear? Oh, a song, high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? in your castle, almighty King. Do you know what I know? A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Said the King to his people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. The child sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light. Do you see what I see? Do you hear what I hear? Do you know what I know? That was most excellent. The foretelling. Yeah, y'all did real good. The foretelling of a super special soul, larger than life, who is meant to come and help us establish peace on earth. Whoa. That is a tall, tall order, don't you think? Gotta have some miracles to make that happen. And on top of that, we have the how did he get here question. He didn't arrive on a spaceship like Superman. So consider this. Here's this age-old story. A very pure girl. Very pure girl, Mary, is visited by an angel. Okay, right there. That's enough to flip anybody out. I mean, how would you take it if an angel appeared? Wouldn't it, I mean, I know I'd be like, I'd be freaking out. And then the angel tells Mary, you are so chosen, you're so special, you are chosen to bear the child that will come as the incarnation of God. Whoa. And there's not going to be any man involved. Whoa. Now, that's enough. But now you got to go tell your Jewish mother. Oh, man. So can you imagine Mary going and telling her mother, hey, Ma? You know, she probably talked like that because she was from New York. I'm just saying. They moved to North Carolina later. Can you imagine Mary's mother? What am I going to tell my friends? What am I going to tell your father? And Mary says, no worries. But there were worries. Oh, what do we do with Mary? Yeah. What do we do this time? Oh, what do we do with Mary? Hey, she stepped over the line. Oh, what do we do with Mary? She's got herself into a jam. And now it seems she's in a family way, and yet she swears there was no man. Must have been that new guy Joseph. You know, I've seen him in the park, and she's been acting kind of funny, coming in way after dark. Oh, what do we do with Mary? Yeah, what do we do this time? Oh, what do we do with Mary? Hey, she stepped over the line. She left a note upon her pillow. Said she and Joe were up and gone, and heaven knows where they will go, what with winter coming on. And while the wise men search the city, and the shepherds chase the stars, and we're all busy doing 9 to 5, then we race home in our cars. Oh, what do we do with Mary? Yeah, what do we do this time? Oh, what do we do with Mary? Hey, she stepped over the line. Now some will put their faith in money, and some will put their faith in love, and some will get down on their knees and pray to whoever's up above. But oh, what do we do with Mary? Yeah, what do we do this time? Oh, what do we do with Mary? Hey, she stepped over the line. Oh, what do we do with Mary? Thank you. That was written by my friend Al Scortino. And I heard it at a music festival in March a few years back. We were all doing Christmas songs. And he said, I've got a song. I don't know if it's a Christmas song. I watched more people, big burly guys, you know, folk guys, yeah, doing that. What empathy that song brings to Mary's situation, even if this is not a true story and she was not anointed by God to carry a child that was not inseminated a normal way. If she was a unmarried, pregnant girl in those days, here are the very first miracles that I see in this story. A, her parents did not turn her out. Her village did not turn her out. And she survived to give birth to this baby. She was not stoned. I heard somebody say that in the back. She was not stoned to death. Because even now in 2016, there are cultures in the Middle East that stone women to death for infidelity. There's a miracle. That to me is amazing. That's more miraculous than indoor plumbing. I'm just saying. putting it all into perspective. And from what we know of the story, Joseph had a lot to do with that. Joseph said, at first, biblically, in the story, he was not happy. Joseph was not happy to find that his betrothed was already pregnant. Not a happy camper. I don't think a lot of men would be. I think Joseph had a right to be a little disgruntled. But then as the story goes, as I understand it, an angel visited him. And in contemporary language, the angel said, chill. Joseph, chill. You have been chosen to take care of Mary and make sure this baby is born. So I sing this next carol because it suits the message. And also, when I was 5 years old, it was my very first solo in the church choir. And it goes like this. Mary asks, Joseph, dearest Joseph mine, help me cradle this child divine. God reward thee and all that's thine. In paradise, so praise the Mother Mary. And the chorus is, He came among us at Christmas time in Bethlehem. Men shall bring him from far and wide, love's diadem. Jesus, Jesus, lo, he comes and loves and saves and frees us. And Jesus responds, or Joseph responds, gladly, dear one lady mine, help I cradle this child of thine. God's own light on us both shall shine in paradise, as praise the Mother Mary. He came among us at Christmas time in Bethlehem. Men shall bring him from far and wide, love's diadem, and that means crown. Jesus, Jesus, lo, he comes and loves and saves and frees us. Sweet and gentle little one, princely, beautiful, God's own Son, in thee our fears are all undone, and love has won by thine, O Mother Mary. He came among us at Christmas time in Bethlehem. Men shall bring him from far and wide, love's diadem. Jesus, Jesus, lo, he comes and loves and saves and frees us. Now, as a UU, I had to look up diadem. Love's crown. Okay, so it's a beautiful song, and it enhances the story, right? But one of the things that has always bothered me is that there was no Christmas time when Jesus was born. In fact, there was no Christianity when Jesus was born. There's a lot of people that would challenge me on that and call me blasphemous and hateful, and I'm going to burn in hell. And I'm thinking, I'm taking marshmallows. That's all I'm thinking. You know? But that has always bothered me. Christmas time, there was no Christmas. Mary and Joseph and Jesus were Jewish. Hello. But as my grandmother always said, please do not let truth and facts interfere with a good story. So let's continue. As it was in those days, Caesar of Augustus was calling all of the people to be taxed, people being men, right? Because women were not people and slaves were not people, only the privileged men. Each man was to return to the city of his birth and give a tithe of his wealth to the emperor. And so Joseph was traveling with Mary, who was great with child, to Bethlehem. Now here comes for me another miracle. The incredible situation that there was no room in the inn. What? Well, let's take a look at the facts here. There was no Holiday Inn. There was no such thing as a bed and breakfast. The inns, as I understand it, were corralled safety places for all of the pilgrims who were coming to tithe to their cities. They were granted passage into these corrals that maybe the farmers had allowed the people to set up their sukkots, their tents, temporarily to stay so they could tithe. And we know that there had to have been a whole bunch of women given birth that night. So here's a miracle to me. There was no room in the inn, and Mary was going into labor. And the compassionate farmer said, okay, I see that there's a situation here, so you may go use the barn, which was a cave, actually. And so here's this child. Of all of the children that were being born, Mary was in an isolated place. She was safe from the predators and the robbers who had to have been around. She was surrounded by the warmth of the animals, giving birth in as clean a place as was possible. That, to me, is a miracle. I wouldn't say it's too close for comfort. I just have to say that I'm a single mom, and I tried this whole story on my folks, and they didn't buy it. What child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap, is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping? This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe Son of Mary. Why lies he in such mean estate, where ox and cattle are feeding? Good people, cheer, for a Christ is here. The silent word is pleading. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Hail, hail, the Word made flesh in the babe Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, peasant kings, and own him, the King of kings. Salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthrone him. Raise, raise a song on high, as the Virgin sings a lullaby. Joy, joy, a Christ is born, the babe Son of Mary, the babe Son Mary. I love that song. Thank you. Bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. If it were 3 wise women, it would have been wool blankets, chicken soup, and ibuprofen for Mary, I'm just saying. And just so that you know, a virgin back in those days was a woman who just had not given birth yet. Yes. Jesus was Mary's first child. So any woman who was pregnant for the first time was a virgin. Any woman who had never had a baby was a virgin. Interesting how we twist and tangle the language to suit our needs rather than looking at the facts. But, you know, in our culture, facts are out the window anyway. So, this is Christ the King. Okay, as I understand it, Christ means anointed one. So the song is saying that an anointed one is here. The anointed one has come to save the world. Now, in many of the Christian churches and creeds, the belief is that this means you can only find redemption, peace, and connection with a God of our knowing by accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior or your ticket to heaven. Oy. Yeah. Fire escape. Oh, I like that. Jesus is my fire escape. I'm going to have a bumper sticker made right next to the one that says, "Geez, if you love hunkus." And that's because I'm dyslexic. Okay. In later writings and stories about things that Jesus said, this is very important to me. This is what I got into trouble in church school for. One of the passages that struck me as a child is when Jesus said, "Don't ye know that ye are gods? Don't you know that you are gods? And that all of these things that I do, you too will do and more." So at the risk of being a blasphemous heathen, doesn't that make us all Christ's anointed ones? Wasn't Jesus telling us that we are all divine and special and sacred? When we hold ourselves to our highest good, we are showing the Christ quality in our personalities. And for me, our 7 principles hold me up to those highest teachings that I learned in my church school, in Bible studies, when I was growing up in the Episcopal Church. When I found the UU 7 principles, I went, there it is, written positively. The 10 Commandments, which, by the way, in the Episcopal Church, there's 3 commandments and 7 suggestions. Okay? Our 7 principles flip those thou shalt nots and thou shalt never do to do unto others as they would have you do, as you would have them do, not before they do unto you, as you would have. Okay? So I wrote this last song for myself as much as anyone else to help me see how Jesus' lives, his stories, his messages can show up in my life and how I can keep Christmas alive in my heart every day and see the daily miracles. And I know I've gone overtime. So I'm just going to sing this last little ditty, okay? This is a song that it's called Let Every Day Be Christmas, and it's the base of this whole thing. Let every day be Christmas. Keep Christ deep in your heart. Live life in love and righteousness. In this way, do your part. Though turmoil spins around you, Keep centered in your goal. Don't let the world confound you. Find answers in your soul. Think, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus say? Would he turn his cheek and just walk away? Or would he stand and fight for what he knows is right? As you think this way, you'll make every day Christmas. Let every day be Christmas. Keep love first on your mind. Under all circumstances, strive to be just and kind. In all adverse conditions, turn your thoughts to be, I shall treat my brother as I would have him treat me. What would Jesus do? Oh, what would Jesus say? Would he turn his cheek and just walk away? Oh, would he stand and fight for what he knows is right? As you think this way, you'll make every day a Christmas. It's a Christ Mass. Namaste, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. That was wonderful.
And bear in mind, I'm open to suggestions.